Well, okay, I don't know if you guys can actually see me or not. Trying to get this thing working here. Here we go. Okay, so more or less the election's pretty much over. I mean, right now Trump is sitting at 230. 3, 2, 1. I don't know what to say, America. I really don't. I really had hoped that we had turned a corner 8 years ago. But it appears that hatred, racism, bigotry, sexism, misogyny, all of these things are still alive and well in the hearts of the U.S. I can't say I'm surprised, really, because, I mean, when we stop to think about it, it took a civil war to end slavery 150 years ago to actually give a certain color of people the right to exist freely and not be considered property. Less than 100 years ago, or about 100 years ago, women finally started to have their own voice and not be considered the property of their husband. And I don't care what you want to think about those things, what you personally think about those things. It's a fact. Okay, America, we did own slaves, and until women finally got the right to vote, they did not. They were basically first the property of their fathers, and then if they got married, they were the property of their husbands. I mean, for crying out loud, we didn't even have laws against spousal rape until the 70s. I'm honestly ashamed and embarrassed for us. I can't even say that I'm mad. I thought I was going to be a lot angrier than I am. I'm not angry. I mean, I'm disappointed. I'm disheartened, depressed. We get the government that we deserve. We have the ability every 4 years to hold a nonviolent revolution. That's what voting is, when we vote for our leaders. And this is why I have said for years that when your candidate there's a candidate running against your candidate, you want them to be the best qualified, because what if they win? And everybody thought Trump was just a shot, was just kind of like a flash in the pan. He was supposed to just not even really, he wasn't supposed to be the Republican nominee for president. That was supposed to be Jeb Bush. I mean, really, when you think about it, this guy, Jeb, was the guy that they wanted to put in there. And everybody, all of the pundits, we all thought that he would be the one running against Clinton. We pretty much figured that a lot of people like myself were Bernie supporters. Bernie got burned out of it, pretty much. No pun intended. He got screwed. But you can't really blame the Democrats on one hand, because they I mean, Bernie was running for as an independent until he switched parties to become a Democrat to run for president. And I think his campaign was to pull Hillary to the right, because everybody knew Hillary was going to get it. I mean, election finagling like what's finally been revealed this time around, it's been happening since the beginning of the country, okay? That's no surprise. But I mean, let's face it. Trump was the least qualified of the Republicans. The only reason that he got as far as he did was because he fed on your hatred. He fed on your bigotry, your fears. And now he won. And I am honestly scared for a lot of people now. I don't have as much to worry about. I'm a white male, lower middle class, but, you know, I'm middle class. I have a decent job in healthcare, so I know my job is kind of secure. But it's going to be a rough 4 years, folks. I mean, this is the guy that during the briefings that the Democrat and Republican candidates get to sit in for the State Department so that they can see what's going on. This is the guy that they had to constantly tell, no, you can't just nuke that country. And what scares me even more is that I think Trump is going to do basically what Bush did that his first couple of years in office. He's going to let his VP run everything. And he's going to delegate it. And he's not going to do squat, but basically fill the chair. Just like he's done for his companies. Most of which he bankrupted. I mean, he's not a good businessman. He is not... How the fuck do you bankrupt a casino? And he's bankrupted several. I'm really scared for us now. Because the kind of attitude that we've developed in the U.S. over the last 8 years, and I'll be honest, it's the racism that started when Barack Obama was elected president. That's where the dividing line really hit. Because a lot of people got very pissed that suddenly there was a black man in the White House. And I don't give a damn if you want to tell me that no, it was because of his policies or it was because he's a socialist or whatever. That wasn't it. Okay? I don't care. How many times did he had to pull a long form birth certificate to prove that he was a US citizen before people would shut up about that. And they're still saying that he's not, that he's Kenyan. Okay? Everybody's still claiming he's a closet Muslim because of his name. He drinks alcohol. He eats pork, worst Muslim ever. He's done a lot for business. I mean, the business community has seen tremendous gains since he came into office. The stock market's over 18,000. Okay? Worst socialist ever. You say you want to say Obamacare is socialism? That's not socialism. Okay, socialism, the government comes in and takes over. Medicare is socialism. Medicaid is socialism. Social Security is socialism. The VA is socialism. Obamacare is not socialism. Yes, there are government regulations in saying what the insurance companies that willingly participate in the markets can and can't do. But the companies are still making a profit. They're still privately owned companies. The government does not own them. It's not socialism. But you want to scream socialist. And it boils down to it's a black man in the White House, and it scared the fuck out of you. It scared you to death. Because you angry old white men are afraid. Because you're losing your status. Deal with it. And now we've got this. And you know, there was another time when a country was very divided. felt like they were getting the raw end of the deal from the entire world, and felt like one particular religious ethnic group, was the cause of all of their problems. They had just come out of a very bad depression, or were trying to come out of a very bad depression. And a certain young, charismatic leader came forward, told them everything they wanted to hear, told them that he would make their country great again, that he would bring it back to Christian values, talked about morality, talked about all of these things that even today's evangelicals are just foaming at the mouth for. That he would make the country safe for Christians, that he would be doing God's work, and he would get rid of that ethnic religious group that was keeping everybody down. That was such a threat. And then pretty much started World War II. Yeah, I'm comparing him to Hitler, and it's not invoking Godwin's law. Because if you look at the parallels of what happened in the history of Germany that led up to World War II of the late 1930s, you're going to see a lot of parallels in what is happening now with this charismatic leader who is promising to make this country great again. Not giving any specifics on it now. He never gives the specifics. He just says he's going to make it great again. Talks about bringing back good Christian values, telling the people everything that you want to hear. Good luck, America. And to you third-party people that decided to either write in Bernie or vote for Trump or vote for Jill Stein, who is anti-science and is just batshit crazy. Thank you for helping to hand it over to him. Thank you so much. You see, because third-party system in the U.S. is not going to work for a presidency. It just can't. There's no way that it can without compromising what makes that third party unpopular to you, important to you. You guys talk about, well, if we can get it up to the 5%, then such and such third party will be able to get federal funding and be able to do so much more because, we'll be on the government dole. We'll have more money to work with. That's all well and good. But if your policies only cater to 5% of the population, you're not going to get elected. The only way that a third party is going to get elected is if it starts to broaden its base, to compromise the values that made it a third party, so that it can draw in more people from the other parties in order to make it viable, to give it a majority. And in doing that, they compromise the very things that made them attractive. And it loses its luster. See, America, unlike countries like Britain or other democracies or democratic republics, we have a winner-take-all system for the presidency. In other countries, when someone runs for president or prime minister, yes, they have multiple parties that run. But when that president is elected, their parliamentary seats are based on the percentage of the votes that their candidate got for that high office. So if in a something like that, the Libertarians might get 5% of the votes for Congress, for the lower house of Congress. The Green Party might get 1.5% to 2%. The Democrats would get probably 40%, and then Republicans would get whatever was left. Would get the majority based on the percentages from that election. We don't do that. We have a winner-take-all system. And our Congress and our lower house of Congress is not linked to the presidency. That's why a third party won't work in the U.S., because of the way that our system is set up is different. A third party can run and win in the House or in the Senate, but not for the president, because it has to have a base that is wide enough to get a majority of votes. And to do that, it has to compromise on the very principles that separated it from the other two parties. So you guys that did your third-party voting, you wasted your vote. And now we have Trump in office. Congratulations, thank you, and fuck you. Well, from Walmart Mecca, this is Brother Brewer. Pissed off. Depressed. Good night.